This is Sam Marshall. For my CLA project, I worked on a fish dictionary of sorts I call the EMGem. So let's get right to it, and I'm gonna run the little command here. So really, in this version, I whittled it down to 3 things. And to explain a little bit about Phish, if you don't know anything about Phish, they're a band. They've toured. They've played over 1,600 shows nationwide and worldwide. They've played in Europe a couple times, in Japan a couple times. Extensive catalog of knowledge on the internet about them. There's a site, phish.net. It's scrapable. It's very fun. So for this project, I figured I'd make a dictionary of sorts, even though it kind of already exists on the internet. But this is for my own, personal use here. So if you type help in any of these dialogue asking points, you'll usually get the help dialogue, which gives you all your commands. So you have a tour, we'll search by tour, show, we'll search by show, and song, we'll search by song. What I'm going to start off with is a show, because the show is the ethos of Phish. Songs belong to sets, belong to set lists, belongs to show. I just want to show that little dynamic first. So we're going to search by date, and we're going to start my favorite date, 10/31/1994. Oops, you got it right in the right format though. So let's write deck. Nope. 10/31/1994. Booyah. So you see here, Monday, Glen Falls, New York. They sound checked. Oop, I got a little repeater here, but I'll figure out where that's coming from. I know exactly where that's coming from, but you'll see here each of these are songs Phish plays, and these different symbols you'll see along the way as well. It's a Phish thing. I'll explain it later if you're interested. Separate the songs. So they start off with Frankenstein on this Halloween, which is just a great thematic thing to do. But you can see here each of these songs, and then the set 2 is actually the entire Beatles' White Album, and then they played 3 sets that night, which is out of the normal, but I made sure my code can read up to 4 sets, because there exists a 4-set show. And then your encore. The site also lists noticeable jams from the show, so I decided to incorporate that into my show display function there. And then you get looped back via recursive nature back to the original dialogue. But it asks kindly, what would you like to do next? So now that you get a show is made up of songs, the set lists are also objects, sets, songs. The only thing that's not an object pretty much is, I can't tell you. Okay, what would we like to do next? So we can look up an individual song and say, hey, I want to hear more about this. Let's do Divided Sky song. So you type it in. It is spelling importance, but it's not capital importance. You can see Divided Sky was played 412 times. First played in 1987, last played in 2017, and it hasn't been played in 7 shows, which is actually pretty recent. They just finished up a tour of 13 in Madison Square Garden, which I went to 4 of. And then at this point, you get a secondary menu. There's no help menu here yet, but there will be at some point. So you can say yes to this, and it gives you a little more detail on this. It tells you what albums it appears on, which is a lot. This is actually one of their more famous songs. I used it because it's also my favorite song. You can see who wrote the lyrics, which is Trey Anastasio, and then the vocals by Mike, Trey, and Paige. These are all members of the band. Would you like to know more? Yeah, sure. I'd like to know the lyrics of the song. This song's pretty simple, actually. It's just Divided Sky, the wind blows high. But if it's a more complicated song, it would print out all the lyrics. But here's the part that I really enjoy. Would I like to know even more? Yes, I want to know the history of this song. Where I just took, oops, should not have resized that for my screen recording software, sorry. But each song has a well-documented history that you can read up on and learn about. And these were YouTube videos, but I had to just text them out because there's just no way that's going to work. Alright, let me just resize my window a little bit. And then the last thing I think is pretty cool. So you say no at this point, and you can back out. You can look up a whole tour. And so it asks you what year you want to search. 2015. So there's 2 tours in 2015. Let's look up the summer tour. That's the longer of the two, and give a status because this does take quite a bit. How I first wrote this program is that when it loads, as you saw the little load screen to begin, it said loading songs, loading tours, and then below that, I meant to have loading shows. And then once I got that loop working, it took 52 minutes to complete. And I don't think anyone's going to wait around an hour to run this program, which you can just go on the internet to see for free. So I had to make that a little bit better. Okay, so as you can see here, it lists every single show from the tour, which is just awesome. And then you can pick your show by typing in the number next to the name. So one of the most famous shows in Phish history is this show I'm talking about. That was the 4-set show. Starts off with Divided Sky at 12 p.m. and I think the last note was played at Drive-In Jam around midnight, 1 a.m. So they played with breaks, mind you, for close to 12 hours. I would say like all music combined, they played for like 5. But man, this was a wild show, wild day of my life. Yeah. So that pretty much concludes the Phish app. As you can see, that's your available choices. I want to point out, if you search the same tour twice, this is an error I pulled out. It won't load the same shows twice. So let's just load that again. If I do the summer one again, it will check each and every one of them because it has to make sure that we haven't loaded that show. So it might take a little bit. How I do this is if it has the same date and the same set list, then it can't be the same show. Alright, it is the same show. I'm sorry. I'm going to cut this. But I thank you for joining me. Oh, there you go. See, no updated. There you go. Alright. Thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this app. Thanks. Stop.